are working on doing an experiment here to see just how long a spline you can lay and what exactly happens when you lay a super long line. So let's bring it up. Just a second here. I'm trying to get up. Here we are. And here we are in of course, if anyone happens to tune in, then you can ask your questions and I'll see them and I'll try to answer them. But first, I've laid this extremely long branch across a wide open area, and we're going to, well, let's delete what's there, and then we're going to try to lay a piece of track from where we are to the switch on the other side. It's probably about 1 kilometer away. I have some cheats on so that I can move very quickly across the map. Now, downside of this, of course, is that I've already laid some track, and here it is. And as you do, if you go back and you relay sections of track, it does tend to put it in a new position, and you end up having to go back and trim the trees, so you lose some of your trees in the process, and you get this sort of corridor effect from that. So now we're way on the other side of the map. Let me pull up the map here. And you can see from the arrow where we are, and just a little bit southeast of the sawmill, you can see that there's a sort of a point of hill there, and that's about where we were. But let me get started. Let's see if we can stretch a spline all the way from where I am to all the way over there, and what exactly happens when you do that. So here we go. I'm going to use the tallest roadbed just so that as the land dips underneath, we can still be able to see what's going. It still will lay it. So now I need to just get back to the other side of the map. It's quite a ways. If this were actual life, this would be a couple of kilometers. We're just running across the map till we find the other section of track, which should be coming up in the near future. It pretty much crosses our path, so no matter what we do, aha! I'm actually fairly close to where I need to be. Now let's see. Aha! You can't go that far. But you can almost get there. So yes, let's go back out this way until we get the track comes back about here. Actually, let's go back a little further yet. Now we can get a nice swoop to make it into the switch. Boink. Okay, now let's join that incredibly long spline to over here. Now, I showed you kind of where we were, and this is where we are now. And I didn't quite make it all that way, but let's see if I have to do, of course I'm going to have to do more trimming. So here we go, let's trim it up and then we'll take a drive along it and see what it looks like. Have an auxiliary program on Railroad Online Extended that allows me to move at much higher speeds than I can fly too. It makes it much easier to go great distances in a hurry. Okay, and here we are. Downside, though, with using Railroads Online Extended is that since the rewrite, which is the beta branch, which actually I do recommend the beta branch, is much easier to lay track in the beta branch than it was in the first version of the software, which is now 1 year old. There was just a patch today to fix some problems that popped up as they added some more equipment over the last couple of days. And it's nice to see them working on it and making vast improvements. There are now quite a few locomotives. Still the same sort of freight cars. They have added one type of car, but given that we still have the same industries as they did at the beginning, there isn't much point in adding a lot of different freight cars because you only have so many different loads that you can carry. And then you have to kind of wait for the trees to disappear. Thank you. That one. Some people don't like using the Railroads Online Extended because of the way that it integrates itself into the program. That's just fine. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can do it other ways too. It just makes it a little slower than getting from point A to point B, and of course, if you need to get all the way back to the depot, you can just respawn and you're there very quickly. Yoink. A couple more here. Actually, this looks like it might be a fairly nice line now. We'll run back along it in a second just to make sure. This looks pretty good. Okay. Now, mind you, the speed limit of the trains in this game is about 16 miles an hour, and I'm probably doing about 100. Now, let me pull this up, and I'm going to turn it off so that. But let's open it up the controls for this engine so that I can control it remotely. And let's make sure that we have enough wood in the locomotive to do what we want to do. Okay. This is the second Porter engine. It's the first. Betsy is the first locomotive, and then this would be the first upgrade from that locomotive. It's a 042, as it just carries a lot more wood than the other one does. You know, I haven't checked my water in a while. Oh, I'm doing okay. And I've got this flat car right here so that I can stand on the flat car and have an unobstructed view of the route. But let's take a run around. Yeah, we'll just go down the track that I just laid. Let's see what that's like. Okay, and we're off. What I'm doing here is I'm building a line so that I go straight from the industries on this part of the map to the industries that are on the exact opposite side of the map, on the west side of the map. Pull this up so you can see that the sawmill and the smelter are up there in the coal mine. And a lot of that has to go over to the oil field, the ironworks, and the refinery, so you don't need to necessarily go to the freight depot with them. Once we get to the other end of this section, we're going to reverse along another branch that I built a little earlier, and I'll take you to see what else I've been doing, which is to build a big freight yard next to the depot, along with a place to park some engines for the moment. I need to come up with a better storage system. I want to try and use the engine sheds they have provided. But I'm going to need a lot of them because I already have quite a few locomotives. And you can't get more than about, well, depending on the size of the locomotive, about one in each bay. You can get two of this size of locomotive into each bay. I also haven't played with the turntable yet. but the turntable is kind of short and it makes it very difficult to try and turn some of the bigger locomotives, especially the ones that are bigger with tenders. Ah yes, and here we come. We're coming up to the end of the line for the moment. Turn off the, we can coast a little bit here. We'll put on the brake, so because we're coming up to the end of track. Let's go back though and flip the switch. We'll go back the other direction. Let's see how our fire is doing. Oh, plenty of fire. Okay. And now we're going back the other way, and we'll go over to the depot where I built that yard. And you can see what I've been doing over there. On this run, I needed to bridge a gap. I used the wooden bridge because it's not a very high bridge. You'll see that the land does drop away from us as we pass over this hill. Now mind you, the track is flat. There's no gradient here. But the ground does go away from me, so it's kind of a little bluffish area. I built this section of the line using 200-meter increments of straight track, just so if I needed to back up any, I kind of didn't have to run too far. In a moment when we get back to the yard, I'll be able to talk a little bit about what I did there and how I went about doing it. It's actually more intuitive than it used to be when it comes to doing certain aspects of track laying. Because now it does it in radii, and before it was in degrees of turn. For instance, this is an 80-meter radius. Second, we'll be pulling up to the station. When you're looking at buying stuff, it shows up on that weird piece of track over there, which is kind of an interesting way of doing that. That's we're gonna stop now. This is a track I have been using here at the depot, the freight depot. But over here on the other side, I've laid in another line that is for the other side of the freight depot. And this is actually a 5-track wide yard, so that as if I want to switch trains back and forth, I generally will have dedicated unit trains. Unit trains are trains that have all the same type of car. So if I want to switch from one type of load to another, I can just go to a different track and pick it up and go. But the other end of this yard, where the main line, which is the one we were just on, curves around, this comes off of there too. And as I was laying this, I originally laid it in 20-meter sections which all kind of ended in about the same spot. And as I built these ladders, this is when you have a group of switches like this, it's called a ladder. So we come off the main line over here on the south end of the yard, and that curves off to go over to those Western Industries, and then you can turn into any of the 5 tracks, with the 5th track being the depot lead. And it's real easy to tell as you're approaching the switches. A switch is set for the left track. Now it's set for the right track, so it's real easy when you're moving along to tell which way you're about to go. And another thing they fixed with the system was that if you approach a switch from the wide end and it's switched against you, it will automatically flip to the correct direction for the way you're going. It doesn't do that when you're coming because it can't guess which way you want to go. But over here on the other side of the yard, I've started to build an engine parking area because I needed someplace to put locomotives when I'm not using them for the moment. So here we have our trio of Heislers from the other day. And hiding behind the Heislers we have the Cook Mogul. And actually my engine numbering system was based on the sequence of locomotives in the game as they were a couple of weeks ago. So this is number 60 because at the time the Cook Mogul was the 6th locomotive along the list of locomotives that you could buy. And it's 60 because this is the first one that I bought in that series. These are 80, 81, and 82 because at the time Heislers were the 8th locomotive along, and you have the first engine, the second engine, third engine. I've had to adjust that a little bit. That's why the one that we just were using is number 20, because that's the second engine along. However, since then they have added 3 more locomotives, which changed kind of the numbering system, and there is a way to change that. There's a website, but I can't remember the website's address, and I didn't bookmark it, so I have to do some searching to find that. But let's fly us over so we can see another locomotive that I just got the other day. And flying is actually kind of nice because we get to go up in the air and we can look down and see there's our yard. With the engine leads and everything. I'll go back over this way. And here's the lumber mill. And I put in a switch over. I put in kind of a parking lot over here for the lumber and rail and iron cars, which are the stake ones over here on the other side. And then these are used for the barrels of refined oil and for the cordwood. And the cord you can take either logs or cordwood to your firewood depots. I'll show you a firewood depot. Past several of them. So here's a firewood depot and a water tower. And the water tower refills, but the firewood depot, you have to bring it wood, but it will take either cordwood or it will take logs. You drop them off on the other side, and then you have to fling you can pick up five pieces of wood at a time, and then you fling them into the engine, and that's how you get more wood on your engine. This is the line that goes up to the logging camp, and earlier I added another parking area here for to park the log cars at when I'm not using them. But let's go back to the lumber mill because that's where I parked my new engine that I just got. And you'll forgive me, but I've forgotten the name of it. It's a Baldwin 060 tanker engine. And here it is. But first, when you first start the game, you have this little engine named Betsy, number 1. It's an 040 tank locomotive. It can't pull very much, and I tend to build a little plinth and stick Betsy up on top of the plinth. So let's go over and see the Baldwin. A much bigger tank locomotive, and this is one that was just added, and because of there's now a new set of locomotives that are interjected in between the others, I had to come up with a new numbering system to fit those. So they're going to be all X something. So in this case it's X3 because this is the third locomotive along the list of locomotives. And once again, it has gas headlights and tail lights. You carry your logs here. It's a very cramped little locomotive. Bang your head on it, and here's the firebox. Let's put some wood in the fire. It actually takes quite a bit of wood. I think it's 8 pieces. Oh, I was wrong. It's 7 pieces. Close this. Let's go inside the locomotive. Once again, it's quite nice inside. We have our brake handle. We have our cylinder cocks. We have our sander. We have our throttle. We have what is known as a Johnson bar. And Johnson bar is your reverser. Right now it's all the way forward, all the way back, and in the middle is neutral. And if it's in neutral, you pull the throttle out, you won't go anywhere. Interesting. I wonder if what happens if you do this. No, yeah, there you go. Now we can warm the cylinders. In real life, you would warm the cylinders before you go anywhere. Because if the cylinders are cold, you get a lot of condensation, and that's a bad thing in real life because you can blow up the cylinders, and the mechanics don't like you very much. But let's take this train back up to the logging camp and park it. I'm going to take control of it using this program again. we'll go in here and open the controls for this locomotive. So I can go stand at the other end of the train. That has a fairly standard. It's called a, that's actually, I learned this recently, that's called a hooter whistle. And once again we have gauges that actually show what the pressure is. Well, that's interesting. It seems to, acts like it has air brakes, but there's no valve to turn the compressor on, and as you walk around the engine, there is no compressor. Maybe it has steam brakes. It's something you find on British locomotives, but I didn't know that American ones did that too. Does Betsy have any pressure? Yes, Betsy has some pressure. But, okay, let's hop on the end car here. By the way, I number my cars in a similar way. So the first car you can buy are, the first car in the list is logging cars, so they're number 1. And then I've got 10 of them, and I started at 0. So 109, this is the 10th logging car. Okay. Off we go. And they just had a patch today and fixed some problems that somebody had noticed with regard to some of the locomotives weren't quite right, and that sort of thing. There were some details, like there was one of the crew cars, you could step into it, but you'd fall right through the floor. I actually have quite a few cars now, because I've got 8 of the cordwood cars, and I've got 16 of the stake cars. And I have 8 of these. It takes quite a bit of effort to do this, because you have to, every time you deliver a load someplace, you make some money. And some of these things are kind of expensive. These cars are about $250. The coal cars are $850. Actually takes some doing if you don't have a program like Railroads Online Extended to line up under the water tower and put water in your locomotive. Looks like I left the cylinder cocks open. Need to be up this end of the train so I can make sure and put the switch the right way. This is the first time I've ever used the parking line that I built. This is a 2% grade up to here, up to the logging camp. It's pull back on the throttle a little bit and slow down. We're set to go through the, okay, we're going to the parking, because that one's going to the left. This one's going to the left. And now we're flat again. Hello to those who've just joined us. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Let's put the brakes on. I'm going to run out of track real fast here. And here we are at the logging camp. Actually, this little track here was to park my other little switching engine at. Let's actually get rid of that. Let's make this better. Boink. Okay, so what I need, and this could be problematic a little bit, because I'm not exactly sure what I deleted, where I've laid, or, okay, so it goes up to the bridge. How do I want to do this? It's the greatest question that affects all sim railroaders, is how do you want to go about doing something? Let's put in a piece of straight track that we're gonna put here. We have to go into circle mode so we get automatically straight track. We're gonna go, well, let's go 10 meters. And you have to watch out when you do this, because it is possible to lay track and then get stuck in the roadbed. Boink. Okay, now let's put in, oops, wrong button. Let's put in a left switch, and we'll put it in with a switch stand on the left side. Boink, like this. Now, let's connect here to there. Now, I have to rebuild this bridge because I have decided that I don't like the new color scheme. I like the DRGW color scheme. Now we're going to go out of circle mode so we can automatically connect. Yoink. Okay. And it always looks really goofy until you enter, and then you have the end product. Okay. Now, let's put in another one over here. We're go once. Actually, I'm going to go with the second height, because if you use the 1, then you're very limited as to how far you can go. But if you go with the 3, it will only show as much as you're currently set to. It's not like gonna try to push it way up in the air. But we're gonna go over here, X far, and I think I'll put in another switch. We could go like this. Let's add a right with a right stand and trim it up a bit here. Boink. Now, because you see how high we are in the air, now we're going to be wanting to definitely use the number 3, which is very high. Yeah, we'll use the number 3 that's very high. And we'll just blend it together. And I need a parking spot here. Let's just give myself a parking spot like that. And we'll do one over here. That's about the same length. Whoops. That is not what I wanted to do. Undo, undo. Okay, let's try that one more time. Okay. Now I should have a little place to park any switching locomotives that I want to park up here. And I can get back down. Now let's fix these bridges so they all look the same. We'll start by deleting them on the rail menu, and we're going to go track DRGW here. Now, one of the things that one needs to remember is that if you build a bridge and you start going in one direction, and all of a sudden you decide to go at it from the other side, the handrail changes what side of the bridge you're on. Actually, you know what? Let's cancel that. Where does this bridge go? Where does this piece go? Blink. Boink. Okay. I think up here is where there's a connection. Yes, there we go. Okay. So we don't want to start from here or the handrail will change sides on us. But it makes it easier to get up there. I may have to run all the way back to the other end to get up on the bridge. Actually, you know what? Let's make this easier on me. Run back here. Where's that bridge? We're going to put a little piece of groundwork in so it's easier for me to get up to the bridge when I get back here. Groundwork only. Groundwork only 3. So we're going to go like this and rotate. A little more like this. Up here, blink. Oh, see, I got myself stuck in groundwork. We can get rid of that though by going, oh yes, but you have to select groundwork. Blink. Alright. One more time. Once more with style, as they say. Groundwork 3. Here. We go over like this. Oh, come on. Oh, can I actually get there from here? Yes, okay. Now we have to go back to the other end. And we're gonna have a look and see what's going on. Be a moment here as we go. You may notice that I don't have my sound effects going. The game does not have any sort of woodland life or that sort of thing built into it. So I actually put in when in the other videos you hear like water and you hear the birds and that sort of thing. That's because I put in a soundtrack to add to that to the game. It really helps with otherwise it's very quiet. There is music you can play, but I'm not playing the music because, well, who wants to have hassles with YouTube about that sort of thing? Okay, and we have and we're not in circle mode, so we can just go. You have to run over here. You can kind of see the path that we were already taking. Go over, it's over this way. Actually, it's over here in the valley that we are. And I'm hoping that when we do this, it will actually do this thing where it doesn't lay the track, so that I can talk about if you have a problem with your routing when you're using this mode, then okay. So here we are, and see, right now the rails are floating up there in the air, but as soon as I point at the end of my bridge, then you get, it looks like chain links. That means you're linked. So now if you hit your left mouse button, boink, now I've got a bridge. And we're gonna have to do some trimming because it's not in the same place the original bridge was, but it's not that big a deal. Come on. Gotta find the right part of the tree to click on to get rid of it. I do like this fall color scheme they put in. It's very nice. I may have to go down, jump down and do that one, but first let's do all the ones I can get from up here. Some of the other people that do YouTube videos about this game talk about, because you can, sometimes you'll get these trees that spin wildly, they call them tornado trees. Okay. I have found that using the non-circle mode and just automatically linking up track that way is actually kind of nice because it gives you a better route to get places than sometimes you can guess when you're working with it. Ah, okay, this is one I have to do from down here. Okay, any more that I have to do from down here? And yes, you can run trains under bridges if you really want to. It takes a little planning so that you can end up with a hole in the bridge So you have some place to accept it. And now we'll do this section too. Actually, I've been wanting to change this anyway. Well, let's just go back here and we're going to delete it. Change back to Rails. Go all the way back here. And it takes time to run anywhere. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to say hi, you can certainly chat with me if you want. So we're running along. You can kind of see where the old bridge was that I just took out because it's all trimmed through here. We have kind of an alley. We're gonna go up here and we're gonna get rid of this section of bridge too, and we'll just lay one big long bridge. With the previous version that was rewritten to make this version, it was best to try and have the longest possible splines, so when other people were playing with you, that you could actually it would actually work better. However, the splines were much shorter in the other version. This is really a testing version, hence why it's called the beta branch. Okay, here's another section of it. Where does this one go? Oh, okay, that takes us all the way up to the roadbed, I think. Yes, okay, let's run back this way again. I suppose I could put in hyper speed and run super fast, but it gets really confusing and I think it looks kind of weird on the screen, as I was noticing at the beginning of this video. Thanks, by the way, for tuning in. No, I don't have a Patreon. I'm not one of those types of people that makes money off of my YouTube channel. I do this for free. I do this to try and be helpful to people. And I kind of, most of what I'm doing, the way I build, is how other people have seen it, combined mostly with how I figured out how to do things. And a lot of my railroad is built in what I would think is very close to the original way these kinds of railroads would be built. There aren't a lot of passing sidings, and it's just me, and really there aren't many Discord servers that are still doing this, because a lot of people got tired of how weird and funky it was for a while, and there didn't seem to be any movement. And then the last couple of months there have been a lot of movement in updating it, and it's gotten much better. But there were other problems with just people in general being kind of abusive, and a lot of people got really tired of that. So there's a lot of Discord channels that just don't do this anymore. And it's kind of hard to find people. There is no provision for chatting with people in the game. You do have to use some sort of an outside communication software like Discord or other things to be able to talk to people, which really is helpful, because if you have a bunch of people on a server and nobody can hear each other and you can't talk to each other, then it makes it really hard to run trains. You have a lot of collisions. But you can see the shadow of the rails indicating where the bridge is, or that we're laying a bridge right at the moment. The bridge will automatically have a gradient to match up where we are connecting it, which is kind of nice. But I don't know if it does it in anything less than 0.5% gradients as you go. Now, if you get over here and you get a link and you click and nothing happens, that means that something's in the way, like ground. Okay, so here's our thing, and apparently there's some ground in the way because I'm not getting a link symbol. Okay, that didn't work right. Pooies. Well, okay, let's lay this manually then. Okay. To run back and figure out, oh, I bet I ran into some ground someplace. Okay, here's our alley again. Let's go back down our alley. You don't run very fast in this. Actually doing pretty good. I have a frame rate of 74 frames per second now, which isn't bad. Sometimes it kind of bogs down. There have been some times I've been running trains and I've had like 19 FPS, frames per second. But it doesn't seem to influence it. And I have a pretty hardcore computer too. It's an i7 equivalent. It has 32 gigabytes of memory. It has a very good NVIDIA graphics card. Now, let's see if I can figure out what went wrong. Okay, so once again, bridge, go like this, go like this, use circle mode, we're gonna go down, which is over here. Let's go down, I think it's 2, might be 3. Now I have to set my radius too. So we need to go over a little bit. Oh, maybe it's a 1. Because we're coming up short. We need to go back to the left a little bit, I think. Like this. We're going to be tricky. I'm actually going to ease the grade. This will be nicer anyway because I've been wanting to install a turnout so I can just go around in a circle, but that isn't very prototypical. Okay, now let's go to this mode. We're going to take out the grade completely. Non-circle mode again. Take out the grid again. Although it will automatically compensate for me. This will be interesting to see what it does. Let's respawn. We'll get back here. We'll respawn back to the depot. And get the test train and run it up and down this track a little bit. Welcome back, or hello, as the case may be. Okay, and we've made it here. Let's go get the test train and see how that does on this line. We could go the easy way. And the respawn takes you back to the spawning location where you find all the equipment you buy, and there's a water tower here so you can make sure and fill it up, because a lot when you get new locomotives and stuff, they aren't very full of water, so you need to add water to them. Speaking of which, let's put some water in the locomotive, and I'll put some firewood on it too, although we're not very low. we can just drive the locomotive over and put the firewood in. That's easy enough. Okay, brake off. We're going backwards. We don't need to be going very fast, because we're only going up to the firewood depot. And here we are coming up to the firewood depot. Put on the brake. Okay, there's a pile of wood, and we can go like this, pick up a bunch of it, and you just kind of aim at the engine and go blink, 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 blink.